Okay, welcome to this Get More Referrals Today podcast. If you're listening to us on the podcast, to this live stream, if you're watching us right now through social media or on our YouTube channel, Get More Referrals Today. Welcome, Cami Baker, all the way from over there on the west coast of the US. It's so great to have Cami with us. We'll get to her very shortly. Something we're really excited about it, and Cami and I have known each other for a matter of weeks, to be quite honest. But there are sometimes when you connect with people, you jump on a call with them, you start talking, you feel like you can talk forever because you're on the same page. And that's pretty much what Cami and I we're all about. I said, hey, we've got to share what's in your mind with everybody else, because she has some unbelievable ideas and such easy ideas when you think about it. But as we always say, sometimes the easiest ideas are the ones that are easiest forgotten also. So it's great to have Cami along. Cami, welcome. Start off by sharing a little bit about yourself, and also let people know where you are right now, because you're in a pretty unique little place, as people can see with the background.
Well, Michael, thank you for having me. I am the author of Mingle to Millions, The Art and Science of Building Business Relationships and Mastering Referrals, which is one of the reasons why you and I hit it off so fast. And I am in my antique store that I own along with my true love, John West. We live in Washington State on the west coast of the United States. And this is our antique store. And so I just wanted to share with the group why Michael and I hit it off so well. We are both networkers through and through, and when you understand how to communicate and then conversate, then you flow smoothly into the collaborate, which is what we're doing right now. So we are cut from the same cloth, come from the same pea pod, the whole fun deal. So I can't wait to really get into my material and your material and see all the different places we mesh.
Yeah, fantastic. And today, probably even more than ever, we've got a couple of ways we can always get our business out there. And if you're not getting your business out there, you're not going to have a business. And one way, online, the internet, and all that little phase that we've gone through, but through and through, getting face-to-face with people and networking with people is still probably the most effective way to grow your business. Talk to me a bit about networking and your thoughts on that.
Well, you know, over the years, I'd say probably 15 years, I have been a real face-to-face, handshake-to-handshake, belly-to-belly combat kind of a networker. And I was asked a couple of years ago, how does face-to-face networking really apply in the online genre? And I like to say, whether it's face-to-face, Facebook, or on the phone, no matter how you slice it, human beings are human beings. We all want to be treated with respect. We all want to be acknowledged. We all want to be heard. And we all, you know, have the same personalities cross, whether you're face-to-face or on the internet. And a lot of times people will say to me, well, you know, I do a lot of business on the internet. I don't really get out and do a lot of networking. And one of the things that I share with people is networking isn't just a place you go. It isn't just something you put on your calendar and drive to. You and I are networking right now. You know, anytime we are communicating, which can be sending an email or posting on Facebook or leaving a voice message or doing a video, any of those things are networking. And so even if you're one of those folks who are not out going to a lot of networking events, you're still building a network, and your net worth is directly related to your network and your networking abilities. And I actually call it net webbing, which is even more appropriate for those who are online, because we're building a net web. And I'll be happy to share the archetypes that I find at all the different networking events, which leads me to coming up with that word.
Yeah, lovely, lovely. We'll jump into that really, really shortly. You touched on there, network equals net worth. And I don't think people probably understand the importance of having a network, and not just a network in your own little circle, but these days you've got the ability to have a network anywhere around the globe. Talk to us around the importance of having a network and the right sort of network.
Well, the thing is, you're only as good as the company you keep. You know, I'm actually from the south part of the United States, I'm a Southern girl, and Mama always said, you're only as good as the company you keep. And we say that, but do we really think about it? And isn't it true that we are only as good as the company that we keep? We've also heard it said, you know, if you take a look at the top 5 people that you spend your most time with, that's basically who you are. You associate birds of a feather, the whole thing. And so what we want to do is we do want to up our association with people. You know, I talk to people all the time about when you're going to a networking event, you know, go to the top dog in the room, go straight for the gusto, talk to the person who's actually running the event, because we are only as good as the company we keep. And if there's 10, 50, 100, 5,000 people in the room, when those people see you talking to the top dog in the room, they don't know if you just met them 5 seconds ago or if you've known them for 5 years. So I always say go straight to that person, because when they introduce you around, boy, talk about upping your association, upping your level of networking, and upping who you're playing with.
Yeah, so true. So true. And love how you put that, birds of a feather. I hadn't heard that one before, but that's really nice. So in terms of people who have got no network whatsoever, they're listening to this, they go, hey, I understand exactly what you're saying, but I've just got no network. The people who I currently associate with, they're not helping me. I need a different network. What do we do? Where do we start?
Well, actually, Michael, now that you bring that up, if I may, let me share just a little tiny bit of my story as to how I ended up here on this webinar with you today, because the people like that, I know who you are because I've been one of those folks who had absolutely no network. And for me, the reason for that was a lot of addictions, alcohol addictions, poor choices in relationship. I had moved from one part of the country to another part of the country, and I didn't know a soul, and I was a single mother with a child under a year old and an alcohol problem. And so, you know, talk about starting from ground zero. I really get what it's like to not have anyone, or even worse yet, have people in your circle that aren't positive and aren't exactly elevating you. So there came a point, one day I went to pick my daughter up from daycare, and went to pick her up, her big brown eyes, and I could smell the alcohol in my own breath. And I knew that I needed to change. I needed to put down the alcohol. I needed to change my association, because the people that I was associating with were part of the problems, and it wasn't them, it was me and my choices. And so I decided to change my associations and not just meet more people, but meet a higher quality of person. And so that's what started me on my journey of becoming a networker and going to all these networking events. I mean, I've literally been to thousands of them, and I know what it's like to be the one who's spraying cards everywhere. You spray the cards everywhere. I call those the skunks, because they're spraying and praying. They think if they hand out 50 cards, they're networking, but they're not. They're wasting a tree, right?
Yep.
And then I've also been the squirrel, which is grabbing all the cards, and squirreling them away in my pocket for a day when I'm going to reach out and never do. You know, those are the squirrels. And then there's the sharks in the room, dun, 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 and they're sharking through, asking people, what do you do? And they're looking for blood. Who's going to sign my contract, buy my product, join my business right now, today? You know, and that's where I came up with the spider analogy, because when a spider is connecting those connections everywhere now on the web, right? The spider connects her connections everywhere, and sooner or later she has a web, and then she can sit back and wait for that what she wants to come to her. And so when we talk about people who've never networked and maybe they're reluctant to network or they're afraid to network, what I would say is get started in your local area. My God, there's so many meetups, and there's so many women's groups and so many different places that you could go. But I will tell you with all caution, do not stay in those small places too long. One of my analogies is you cannot attract a blue marlin when you're hanging out in a fishbowl.
Yep.
So go to the fishbowl if that's the first place you can go that's comfortable, but be very quick to not stay in the fishbowl, so that you can get out and up that association that we were just talking about, and hanging out with people who can inspire you and teach you and mentor you and teach you the right books to read, etc., which is another thing that I'm a big proponent of is coaching and mentoring, because if it wasn't for coaches and mentors, I never would have got sober. I never would have learned how to network. And I never would have grown as an individual and known the right books to read, et cetera. So your association is absolutely imperative.
Yeah, brilliant, brilliant. And some of those places that Cami was just talking about, such as meetups, various professional association groups, various Chamber of Commerce groups, all you need to do is just search online. They're all there. All you need to do is put in where are you located, meetup, Chamber of Commerce, and you will have a list that you can go to. So don't think that nothing's happening in your area. You'll be amazed at how much is happening in your area if you just search for it. So brilliant. Going to a networking event's fine, and making sure that you're a spider rather than the shark or the squirrel. Love some of these analogies and terms you've got for them is really important. Let's just go. I'm not worried about being any animal at the moment. I'm going to a networking event. I don't do this very often. What should I be focusing on? What should I be going there to do, knowing that most people try to go to networking events to sell because they need business and that's their way they think they can get business. So how should I be going to a networking event when I haven't gone to many and I'm just probably not doing it right at the moment? What should my intentions be?
Well, I appreciate you asking that question, Michael, because the 3 pillars of the way that I look at it are this. I'll say it and then I'll explain it. We want to set the intention so that we pay attention and create the retention of the resources, relationships, and revenue. So that's my fun little alliteration for it. But what I simply mean by that is, as you have just eloquently asked, what's my intention? Guys, focus on the few and not the many. Do not go in there overwhelmed thinking that if you get 10, 15, 20 cards, because I used to do that. I used to think if I didn't walk out of there with a big stack of cards, I hadn't done my job. And the problem with that is we can get very overwhelmed. We end up looking through these cards. I don't remember this person. Who's that person? Oh, I don't even like him. And we look through them and we ponder it and we think, and then we end up never calling anybody. We never follow up. So what was even the point of even going? It's not productive. It's painful. It creates anguish and dread. So we don't want to do that. And so when we go with the intention of just going, I used to call it net playing instead of networking. So networking insinuates work. You know, go with the intention of playing. Who can I meet? Who can I just have fun with? The book is called Mingle to Millions because doesn't it sound more fun to mingle than to network? Just go to the event and mingle. Think about who can I have fun with and talk to. And I personally am a big proponent of stopping asking people, what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? What do you do? It's so boring. It's so unoriginal. Everybody says it. It's not memorable. Try to be different. Try to be bold. I like to ask people, hey, what are you working on right now? You know, what's a book that you've read recently that you'd really recommend? Who's your favorite mentor? You know, and why? Who's the most successful person in the room? Can you introduce me? In other words, coming up with something new. But to take a big step back, when people are brand new, and I know what it's like to be like that and to be afraid of rejection or not really know what to say, give somebody a compliment. I can't tell you how often, especially woman to woman, I don't know about you guys, that, you know, but women to women, sometimes we see another woman and we want to talk to her and we want to create a relationship, but she looks too busy or she looks too successful or she looks like I'm just not good enough to talk to her. Man, you walk over there and say, girl, I love those shoes. And bam, you are talking about shoe sales and birthdays and just like it just break the ice with someone. When you break the ice, it just really, and I've also noticed, listen, people are people. And it doesn't matter how successful they look, how rich they look, how popular they seem to be. People still have the same issues of wanting to be accepted and wanting to be liked and all that. When you walk up and give somebody a really genuine compliment, they really appreciate that. They really are very receptive to it. So the biggest tip I could give for somebody who's brand new, give people a compliment as long as it's genuine. Don't walk up and say you love those shoes when she's got on ratty shoes, but give people a nice compliment or say, wow, I love your smile. Or, you know, I could hear your laugh from across the room. It's infectious. That's beautiful. Good for you. You know, something of a compliment is a beautiful way to break the ice.
Lovely. We talk about the whole time that people do business with those that they know, like, and trust. And the quickest way to get to know, like, and trust is getting onto a personal level as quickly as you can. So another one, those introductions and icebreakers are great. And then just another simple one is just tell me about you. And they will automatically start business because that's what they've been trained to do. But as soon as they take a breath, okay, great. So tell me some things that you actually like doing. What are some of your interests? What are some of your hobbies?
Well, it's funny that you say that because my true love and I are going to be the networking ambassadors at an event coming up in a couple of weeks. And one of the things we'll be doing is helping people create more interesting, meaningful, masterful conversations. So one of the things I like to say to people is, I like to say, tell me something about you that has nothing to do with your work or where you're from. And here's what's great about that, Michael. The name of the book, Mingle to Millions, the art and science of building business relationships and mastering referrals. There is an actual science. When we go up and say, hey, what do you do? Everybody's expecting that. They've got their boring 30-second elevator pitch, and I could go off on a tangent about that for an hour or two. But, you know, they've got their pitch. That's what they're expecting. But when you walk up to somebody and you say, hey, tell me something about you that has nothing to do with what you do for work or where you're from. You catch them off guard. You snap them into reality. They actually have to get present. You see them look up and think. They have to ponder. And then they say something that's really interesting to them, something that they really like. Well, I'm writing a book. Or, well, my wife's going to have our second baby next week. Or whatever it is that is really important to them. They don't really want to talk about their boring CPA job, or that they're a real estate agent like 8 other people in the room, or that they're in network marketing and they don't want to turn people, whatever, right? They really don't want to talk about that. They really want to talk about the fact that their wife's having a baby or whatever that is. So what happens is when we give them the opportunity to actually talk about what they want to talk about, they get a little bit of a rush of serotonin and dopamine, and it makes them feel really good. And they don't know it on a conscious level, but on a subconscious level, you just made them feel good. You just broke the ice, and they like you because of that. There's a science to it. And back to your point, you know, people want to talk about something personal. And believe you me, guys, people want to talk about themselves. Give them a chance to talk about themselves, and they'll think you're the best conversationalist in there because you're using 2 of these and 1 of these.
So true. So true. Let's move to the other end. So I've been to this networking event. I've had some good conversations with good people, built some good relationships with various people, and now it's time to go home. What do I do next? How do I turn those lovely conversations and those good relationships into people who are part of our network now, people that could open doors for us, people who might need what we do, they might not, but what do I do after the event?
Beautiful. So now we're talking about creating the retention of the resources and relationships and revenue. So we set the intention. Part of, and to answer your question, let me back up, because every beautiful house started with a good foundation, yes? So we're going to set the intention. One of the other ways we can set the intention is actually research, reach out, relationship build. So before we go to an event, for those who want to take it up a notch, we can actually research who's going to be there. Not like hours of research, but on Meetup, for example. You can look down the thing, you can see a couple of people that look interesting, they got a nice face, they got an interesting business name, whatever. Research, reach out, do a little relationship build before we get there. But let's say we did or we didn't do that, but we set the intention that we're just going to focus on a few. Let's call it 3. Let's call it no more than 3 if it's an hour-long event. You don't have time to have 10, 15 meaningful conversations in an hour. I'm sorry, you don't. So when you leave with that many business cards, it's overwhelmed. So when we set the intention for just a few, we pay attention to the conversation and keep it fun and interesting. And hey, what you working on right now? Hey, tell me something about you has nothing to do with your work. When we've done those kinds of things, now when we're going to create the retention, which is the follow-up, which is what you're talking about, it's natural, it's normal, it's fun, it's not weird. It's not, hey, I don't know if you remember me, but we met at this event and I'd really like to have coffee. Nobody wants to do that anymore. People want genuine and authentic. So one of the things I'll be talking about at this event that I'm coming to is, going to in a couple of weeks, is before you leave, who have you met that you do want to follow up with? Set it up now. So for example, you have a nice conversation. This is also a great way to get out of that conversation. You know how sometimes you're having a good conversation with people, but you're at an event and you already know you like them. You already know you want to follow up with them, but you really want to go talk to a few more people while you're here. One of the ways to do that is, you know what, Michael, you and I could talk forever. This is a great conversation. Listen, I don't want to monopolize your time. Here's my card. Let me get your card. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and set up a time to talk next week, and go ahead and set it up right then and there. That way there is no chasing each other down and trying to send you my schedule and all that kind of stuff. So there's that. But then let's say we don't set them up. We've only talked to 3. We had meaningful conversations. We talked about their grandkids. We talked about how long they've been in business. We talked about their favorite charity. We talked about, hey, where are some other events just like this one that you'd recommend I go to? So now we have something to follow up about. That's why people don't follow up, because they take stacks of cards that big. They don't know anybody. They didn't create a relationship. They don't know what to say. They're overwhelmed and they don't know what to say. But when you focus on the few, now when you do follow up, whether it's Facebook, whether it's email, whether it's a phone call, guess what? The phone is meant to do this. You can actually talk to people on it. It's called communicating. People don't know that anymore, right? But if you call them or Zoom them, you can always say, hey, listen, here's a link to the upcoming event that I was telling you about. Why don't we meet there? Matter of fact, why don't we have coffee before we go? In other words, with our follow-up, always have something of value, sending them a link, sending them a referral. I like to play the game of who can I refer you to before I am looking for something back from you. Like, who can I refer you to? Law of reciprocity says, I do for you, you naturally normally want to reciprocate and do for me. Happens all the time for me that I'll send somebody a referral or introduce them to someone or what have you, and then they're naturally doing it to me just because I did it for them. So there's all of these different ways that, in order to build the resources and the relationships that come long before the revenue, that's another thing. Revenue doesn't come until there's relationship built, until there's resources there. So it's all of that stuff. It's setting the intention before you even go. It's paying attention at the event. And then when it's creating the retention, it's focusing on, now that we did such a great job with our foundation, our communicating and our conversating, now that we're stepping into collaborating, we just naturally have something to talk about, and it's not weird.
Yeah, lovely. Fantastic. That's an awful lot there. So hopefully people watching this, whether you're on our live stream, whether you're listening to it as a podcast, I'd probably go back for that last couple of minutes there and replay that a couple of times, because that is where the money is understanding what Cami just went through right there. So brilliant. Cami, how can people connect with you? What's the best way for people to connect with you right now?
Well, I do a lot of Facebook Lives. I do a lot of tips on networking on my Facebook. So Cami Baker is my personal page. Cami Baker Mingle to Millions is my Facebook business page. CamiBaker.com is my website, and CamiBaker.com/gift is where your viewers can go and get some free videos on the 3 mistakes that entrepreneurs are making that are repelling business. So that's
okay, lovely. We'll put that as a link below the gift site. So CamiBaker.com/gift. You'll see that in the description, and you can click there and go straight to that site to be able to get those videos and various resources that Cami has. Cami, absolute pleasure. I'm so glad that we've been able to A, connect, but B, be able to do this and be able to get some great insights on the things that you go through and talk about day in, day out. There's something else which you were talking about to me that you have the ability to do for people who are speakers and finding speaking locations within a particular area. Do you want to just share that with us?
Sure. So one of the things that I have just learned how to do, guys, I've been selling, when I was 8 years old, I was selling gum to other kids for a profit. I'm just always looking for ways to monetize and to make things work. And so I look for ways in networking to attract clients, build credibility, and leverage time for myself and for my clients. And one of the best ways to do that is to speak, to get on a stage, whether it's right now, this is speaking, it's on a stage, or whether it's physically in a room at a meetup, doing your own meetup, et cetera, et cetera. And so what I have done is I've created different lists, any city, USA. It started because I did this in Boston for myself, in the Boston area. And as I created this list of all these different meetings, business networking, entrepreneurial networking, women networking groups, conference areas, trade shows, et cetera, I've learned over the years, about 15 years of doing this, not only, so it's who you talk to, which is the list, whatever list it is, whatever city you're in, there's the who. Then there's the what. It's what do you say to them? What do you say to the event organizers so that they want you to come speak on their stage? But here's what's even more important. It's not just who you talk to. It's not just what you say. It's how you say it. It's how you say it. So for those of you who are wanting to speak, if you're already speaking, if you get booked 2 to 4 times a month to speak and you're a master at speaking and you just want different lists in different cities, great, I can provide a list. But if the list isn't going to do you any good because you don't know what to say or how to say it, I can help you get booked too. Because when you can get on a stage, even if it's a stage for 10 or 15 or 20 people, when you stand in front of that room and you show them by your own actions that you are the expert and authority in the field that you're in, you attract them to come to you. They want to do business with you, and you've just leveraged your time. So now, instead of just being in the networking room, shaking hands, hey, what do you do? Now you're in front of the room for that same hour, but now you are leveraging your time and attracting.
Yeah, brilliant, brilliant. So if you are a speaker, you're looking for places to speak, I'd probably connect with Cami, who can help you find those places fairly quickly, which obviously is what we are looking for as speakers at the same time. Now, again, if you're watching this as a live feed, please, within the comments, just tag Cami in. If you've got any questions, she's more than happy to be able to answer them for you straight away. If you're listening to this as a podcast on our Get More Referrals Today podcast, and it's the first time you're listening to it, make sure you pop over to referralmarketingguru.com.au/resources to be able to get the various resources that go along with our podcast. And Cami, thank you very much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure, and look forward to seeing you around an awful lot more, both when we're in the US as well as goodness knows where else we might end up doing things together. It's been an absolute pleasure.
It has been a pleasure, and I just want to point out, research, reach out, relationship build is exactly in action. I reached out, I researched who I'm going to be speaking with at an event in the United States. Michael was one of them. I reached out to him, we got on the phone, and now we are relationship building. So Michael, it's a blessing to see exactly what I talk about in action with someone of credibility of your standing. So thank you so much for having me.
Absolute pleasure. Very good. You enjoy your Sunday evening over there in the US as we are halfway through our Monday here. Look forward to catching up with you real soon, and take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.